And I'm like, what the hell is this? It's a bogus lawsuit. It has a picture of their cookie with sprinkles next to our cookie with sprinkles. I posted some smart ass comment like, Grandma, watch out, hide your sprinkles or you're
Yeah,
next.
nice.
Fulfillment typically comes from contributing to something greater than yourself. Despite life's dirtiness speaks to life doesn't need to be perfect. Do not wait for life to be perfect to allow yourself to experience joy and fulfillment. Focus on yourself first and then help as many people as possible. I allow myself to make as many mistakes as I want. I just can only make them one time. My whole life changed though when I had to focus on what is my mission statement?
Right.
What are my core values? What do I want to be known for when I'm dead? Right. And then it's like, boom, clarity.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I am so excited for our guest today. This is Bennett. You guys have probably heard of him. He is the founder of Dirty Dough. If you guys have heard of anything going on in Utah right now, we got the hashtag Cookie Wars going on. So I thought I'd reach out to him, bring him on, get a fresh take, let you guys meet him a little personally. I'm going to let him introduce himself here. I'm so excited he's here. Bennett, what's your name? What's your mission? And what's your purpose right now in life? Where are you headed?
Man, we're going deep right off the beginning.
So what's your name, brand, and mission? That's what I usually say.
My mission statement, which is now Dirty Dough's mission statement, is to find joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness in ourselves and others. So it's about being happy. It's about being fulfilled. Fulfillment typically comes from contributing to something greater than yourself. Despite life's dirtiness speaks to life doesn't need to be perfect. Do not wait for life to be perfect to allow yourself to experience joy and fulfillment. Focus on yourself first and then help as many people as possible. So that's what I'm about in Dirty Dough, and anything that I do, that's my personal mission statement. And I threw the word dirty in there, right, to tie it into with my business.
Dude, you are so on brand, dude. What's your mission in life?
I mean, it's to help
people see that, help people get past that.
Fulfillment. And it kind of comes from, what are we doing here? And as entrepreneurs, man, we just like the grind, right? And it's like, well, I'm going to grind because one day I'm going to get XYZ. And when I get XYZ, then I'm going to experience, whatever that is. And then I'm going to be happy. It's like, no. That XYZ, you're going to hit it. And then you're just going to hit another goal.
Yeah.
And you're going to set another goal and then another and another. So it's important to stop and say, no, how do I be happy now? How do I experience joy and fulfillment now? And then once you are experiencing that, how do I get everybody else, as many people as possible to experience that? So again, nothing to do with cookies, but that's my belief. That's why I believe I'm, my mission here in this life.
I love it, dude. That is deep. That's real. Guys, if you listen to our Roger Comstock podcast that we just did, same thing. You're looking to be happy now. There's no reason to wait. Look at all the good in your life. Look at how far you've come. There are so many ways to see this. And we're going to go over this a lot today. Bennett, I want to kind of go over, you've had a lot of momentum in your goals. I mean, how old are you right now?
I'm 29.
Guys, this guy's 29. He's had successful exits on companies. He's sold them. He's made lots of money. He's rolled it into more companies. He's met with a lot of different things that have kind of tested his momentum. So we want to get into this today. How did you first start your first company? What was kind of the attitude towards it, and how did you build momentum so you actually made it into something big enough to sell?
Yeah. My first company, I'm going to kind of start a little bit even before that, not a company, but I guess I would define myself as an entrepreneur. Like I was always doing commission-based sales. So you have to think as a business owner, right? Because if you're not successful, then guess what? You don't get paid. So you're kind of you're inside of another person's business. That's the entrepreneur, but you're running kind of your own thing. So that prepared me, I was doing like the summer sales stuff, and you have to recruit people, you have to train them, you have to convince them to move out to other states, and if you do all that, then and they make sales, then you get paid. Yeah, right. You can do all of that, but then they go home and you don't make anything. So you're really calculating, profitability on everything. Like, oh, if I take this guy to lunch, am I going to get my money back? If I, and you're calculating those things. If this guy actually moves out, how much time do I want to spend with them before, allowing them to go home versus somebody that's already sick? So anyways, you start experiencing these little, bursts of entrepreneurship.
Totally.
And then
when you get that lifestyle where it's result based,
yes,
it's not just action or intention. It's results or nothing.
Yep. I get paid if they get paid. And meaning they is both the company and the sales rep, as a manager. Then I teamed up with my brother, and so I had the sales down. I dove into sales. I told myself I wasn't going to be a salesperson. I was just a salesperson. I was going to be a professional salesperson. And to me, the difference was the education. I was already on course. I wanted to go to med school. I dropped out a semester before graduating with my pre-med. And I'm like, not to avoid college, not to avoid learning, but to avoid learning what I don't want to learn and being able to go at my own pace. And frankly, my pace is quicker than what the university's pace is for what I want to learn. So I dove right into the sales world, and I'm like, I'm going to be the best salesperson. And I always had the attitude of, what are the top people doing that I can't learn? Right? I mean, what is anybody doing in this world that you can't learn? There's not that many things, especially with sales. So that was kind of always been my attitude of just where I am and where I need to go. Typically that gap is knowledge.
Right.
So if I can fill that gap and then take action on that knowledge that I do know, then boom, I'm where I want to be. So when I started the first company, which was with the solar company with my brother, I wanted to make sure that I had, a teammate, somebody who's been there, done that before I have. And that brother's 13 years older than me. He bought a franchise when he was maybe like 22 or 23 years old. And, he's 40 now, and that's all he's ever done is work for himself. So I kind of came in with the sales, and the money side, and he taught me how to run the business. And yeah, within a year, we'd replaced ourselves from the business. So we weren't really active in it. That's when I purchased Dirty Dough. Dirty Dough was already existing. It was a single store company out of Tempe, Arizona. I purchased it, and that was last January. So a year and a half ago. Was running both companies at the same time. And anyways, ended up selling the solar company because I needed to focus on one thing and be really good at one thing. So that's why I
focus there. Were you living in Tempe at the time? How did you even hear about Dirty Dough?
No, so I grew up in Orem, Utah, and a guy that I went to high school with had started it. And he posted on Facebook, said, look, I got a company that's delivery only, and I want to build a storefront. So I invested with him mid 2019. And then he opened up a storefront in March of 2020. And then I bought the company.
Crazy time to start.
Yeah. I mean, the grand opening was scheduled the week that the COVID closures happened. So that got,
oh my God,
that got shut down.
Talk about a block on momentum. They're trying to slow you down.
Yep.
Exciting though.
So yeah, I sold that company in June of last year. So since June, what are we at? August? Maybe we're in September now. It's going quick.
Yeah. Now
it's been over a year. Just been over a year that I've been doing full time with Dirty Dough and playing the balancing act of, we're a small company, but we want to be a large company. How do we think and fund a large company with, only a few stores open? And I mean, keep the momentum up, right?
Totally. I love that. No, so for you, I think, so one thing that I've always told people is that I think that high performers are really good at recovery. If you're an athlete and you can go to the gym once a week, yeah, you've got some momentum towards your future goals. But if you can recover really well, help your muscles get back to where they can actually go back to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to create a lot of momentum towards your goals, and you're going to get there a lot faster. Is there anything that you specifically have found works really well for you with recovery from daily stresses or anything? Something that you can do to just kind of chill out, reset, refocus, and get back to work?
Yeah. A lot of it starts with, your mindset on how you view what you're doing. Like, why do you need a reset? Probably because, you're a little overwhelmed. You made a mistake, some stress settles in. I don't know. I maybe 5 minutes before we were texting, somebody texted me, hey, is this Bennett with Dirty Dough? I'm like, yeah, who's this? Like, oh, it's Steve. I was talking with this salesperson, and then they just ghosted me. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Steve. And I found out quickly what happened. And then I sent him a screenshot and said, look, it looks like it's passed on to another salesperson, but that person didn't communicate correctly. So that's what was lost.
Right.
Not that that's an excuse, just letting you know what happened. And then he
Totally.
responded, he's like, thank you for looking into it. And I responded to him, I'm like, look, we're a startup. We're going to make a lot of mistakes. The goal is to only make the same, to never make the same mistake more than once. And so it just allows me to view mistakes differently, right? Like
Totally.
I allow myself to make as many mistakes as I want. I just can only make them one time. And then I give the same liberty to anybody else on my team. Make as many mistakes as you want, just learn from them, or else why the hell did you make the mistake?
Right.
So I think a lot of it is just framing why we need to be reset. It's like, well, I don't really need to reset. I made a mistake, but I'm not getting down on myself.
Totally. So for
Apart from
you,
that,
you recognize that recovery is usually a thing that you need when you lose that mindset, and making sure that you lean into the reality that, hey, failure is inevitable. You're going to make mistakes, but try not to just make them more than once. That kind of lifestyle or that kind of focus has helped you need less recovery.
yeah. My focus isn't on, I told you my mission statement already, right? And it's
Totally.
not, has nothing to do with money. So it's like, oh, I made a mistake. What's the worst thing that can happen? Is it taking me further away from joy and fulfillment? Well, that's my choice, right? I'm in control of that. So I'm not going to let it do that, because then I am defeating my own mission statement. Another thing that I do a little bit more practical, because that's more of a mindset and just a full paradigm shift that we have to kind of get used to. But more practical, I do a meditation app called Waking Up, and it's awesome. The dude's named Sam Harris, and he's a neuroscientist, and his app is super cool. So
Awesome.
I take 10 minutes, go sit down, throw on some headphones, whatever, and boom. And half the time I fall asleep in that 10 minutes. I always put a reminder, and then I'm up and I'm a new person.
Nice. I love that. How did you get into meditation in the first place?
Man, I don't know. I started with an app called Headspace.
Nice.
I don't know what got me on. That was years ago. And then I found this neuroscientist. I'm like, I want something science-based.
Right.
And
Totally.
anyways, this meditation I really relate with, because it's how you're thinking, why you're thinking, what you should be thinking about. It's like, think about the worst thing that can ever happen to you, right? And then, well, how do you feel? Where do you feel that at? Notice that as you're focusing on that feeling, that it dissipates, and you're like, what the frick? This is weird. So it's a lot more applicable in the day-to-day. And anyways, I've been a big fan of that. I try to do that.
Guys, I'm a huge advocate of meditation. My favorite meditation is basically along the lines of what Bennett just said, where it's, you imagine just all the terrible things happening. You go into those worst feelings. And the thing is, you'll actually recognize that as you learn to actually focus on your breath and everything, and you breathe more or less, you can actually learn to actually kind of change your emotions, and you start to learn that it's actually a choice. And then once you actually learn to lean into the bad, and you kind of, most of the time you realize how ridiculous of an idea that fear is. And then you actually train your brain to say, no, we're not going to focus on that. I'm actually going to choose now exactly how I want it to go. And feeling all those good feelings and then doing it faster and faster has trained my brain to the point where anytime we see something bad happen, I go, no, it's not going to go as bad as I think it is. We're going to fix it, and it's actually going to go great. Yeah. And things do. It's awesome.
That's what anxiety is, right? You're stressing and anxious about something that hasn't happened and probably won't happen. There's a book called, it's been around for a little bit, The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
Totally.
And he focuses, and he taught me forever ago, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like the absolute worst thing. And the funny thing is, you actually spell it out in your mind. It's not as bad as the anxiety led it to believe. Like, yeah, what's the worst thing that can happen in my life right now? There's nothing that's really going to separate me from my family and my kids, right? Like,
right.
Maybe I get hit by a bus, whatever, but I'm getting anxiety about this lawsuit, right? And it's like, really though, what's on the line here? What's going to take away my joy and fulfillment in life?
Right.
There's nothing that's going to do that. So I could kind of sit back and relax. Okay, I'm completing my mission. I'm doing what I'm here. I'm focused on that, and man, that alleviates a lot of that stress.
It's amazing to me. I think it's so cool, guys. Once you actually get to the point where Bennett's at, and I think it comes from his sales training a little bit. Like, once you actually get into sales very heavily, you realize that you really, really, really need to figure out your why. And that is huge. Once you know your mission and your why that fuels your mission, as long as you can recenter and realign on that, you can be going through the craziest stuff that life will throw at you, but you can get back to that mentality, get back to that mindset, and just keep going. Yep. It's amazing. Absolutely life altering.
And I didn't do a mission statement for a long time. And then I had a business coach, and he's like, I don't even remember what I asked him, but he's like, well, does it align with your mission statement? I was like, mission statement? Why the hell would I ever do a mission statement? Like, I know what I want.
Right.
What is it that you want? I was like, well, I want a big company. you know, I want money. Well, why do you want that? Well, probably because that equals time freedom to me. Okay, well, why do you want time freedom? I don't know. So I can be with my family. Well, can't you just be with your family now?
Right.
Oh, okay. And you go through those. Anyways, my whole life changed though when I had to focus on what is my mission statement.
Right.
What are my core values? What do I want to be known for when I'm dead? Right. And then it's like, boom, clarity. And you hear people say that, and they're like, is that science-based? Me, a skeptic.
Right.
Man, it changes everything because now you have a compass. And a lot of times we think we have a compass, but if you can't define it in a sentence, man, that's do we understand it, right?
Honestly, guys, you should be able to put into at least a sentence. If you can't, you need to do a little more soul searching. And like we just heard, he just gave us a really great path to find it. I mean, I start asking the 5 whys, go through, ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Okay, well, why do I want that? Keep going. Figure out what actually builds you up and where you actually want to end up and what you want to contribute in this life. And then it makes so much clarity, guys. It is such a boost to wherever you're going, because suddenly you're like, oh, all this stuff doesn't matter because I actually know where I'm going. And that's not actually a part of it.
Yep.
Suddenly you're focused in and you're good to go. That is so cool. Ben, I want to ask you, you've been dealing with a lot of stuff because every business has competition. Every business has things that come up. You've been dealing with a lot of stuff recently with all of the Utah Cookie Wars stuff. How have you managed to maintain your momentum, even though you have kind of attacks coming at your business?
Diving into the weeds, it's a bogus lawsuit. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to control the narrative of this because I know the facts. I'm going to study it. Crumble comes out with, they came out with 2 statements. Both times I'm like, this is the stupidest statement ever. Like, let me just prove this wrong real quick and spend my time on social media doing so. But they won't talk to the press. I will, because I'm like, no, dude, I'm not wrong in this. And not only is it he said, she said, like, I will show you how to find it on your phone.
Right.
So, and then they go back to Crumble. Hey, this is Dirty Dough's response. What's your response? Nothing. Radio silence. And then it just allows me to control the narrative because there isn't. Again,
it's a lot of power to just hand over.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, I'm not hiding anything. Anybody can interview me. Anybody can ask me anything. There's nothing that's
right.
hidden. Let's break down the lawsuit. So keeping the momentum. One, it's the attitude, right? It's like, what's the worst thing that can happen, and how can I still be optimistic about this? That's one of my core values is optimism. Like, life isn't perfect, and I don't expect it to be. And there's joy in growing and problem solving. So, anyways, my wife's always checking. How are you doing? I'm like, I'm having the time of my life. Like, yeah, some people are like, oh, this and that. You stole recipes. I was like, go try a cookie, dude. Go try a cookie and tell me that the freaking same. Oh, store schematics. Go walk into a store and tell me they're the same. Come on. Like, so I'm like, no, that doesn't affect me. It's people giving an opinion without being educated, which I do all the time too. I'm an idiot. And, I have the opportunity to correct people. And I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm so convinced on my point. I'm like,
sure.
Give me 5 minutes with anybody who disagrees with me, and I could convince them because I'm that convinced in what I'm doing.
Right. Well, and the fact that you're willing to talk about it has given you a lot of opportunity recently to actually be able to answer a lot of those questions, hasn't it?
Oh, 100%. Again, I'm like, I don't have anything to hide. Let's interview it. Let's dive into the deep, dirty lawsuit and see what comes up. And anyways, yeah, it's boosted our business more than anything could. If you would have given me $2 million and said, spend this on marketing, see how many franchise sales you could get, we wouldn't have gotten the franchise sales. We would have, and the national exposure.
At what point did the lawsuit actually begin to really boost the awareness of Dirty Dough?
It was filed in May, and we're just like, man, this is stupid. We're gonna have to fight it. It's a waste of money, whatever.
May of 2022.
Yes. And then it was made public. KSL picked it up mid-June, about 45 days later.
Wow.
So it wasn't actually, I just saw an article and they're like, oh yeah, Bennett Maxwell took it to the social media to blow it up. I was like, no, I didn't take it to social media. If it would have been me, I would have taken it right with a lawsuit hit. I just saw that KSL posted and I'm like, okay, well now it's out there. Let me be the one that
Responds.
that controls the narrative on what's actually happening. And I did, and then so as soon as they posted, within a few hours, I had my post up, and that one is really what it took off. Is people saw, and I was making light of the situation because legitimately on this lawsuit, it has a picture of their cookie with sprinkles next to our cookie with sprinkles, and I'm like, what the hell is this? So I'm like, I posted some smart ass comment like, "Grandma, watch out, hide your sprinkles or you're next."
Yeah, nice.
They legitimately are saying, you're doing sprinkles and we're doing sprinkles. You do a cinnamon cookie, we do a cinnamon cookie. You guys do, what was it? You guys do ice cream and your ice cream looks like our ice cream. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then somebody pointed out on social media, they went back and checked the timestamps because every time we release a cookie, you post it. And then that's timestamped on social media forever.
Right.
All of those examples I just gave you of Dirty Dough actually posted those first.
You're kidding.
And Crumble put it in the lawsuit as examples of us copying them when anybody with a cell phone can go verify that they were copying us. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is a joke. Why are you guys doing this?
Dude, bizarre. Why? I'm a little curious. Guys, this is not our typical podcast, but it's a very current event. So I kind of want to sink my teeth into it just for a second. I want to know, do you have a reason? Have you talked with anybody from Crumble and been like, hey, like,
I have a reason.
What did we do?
It's not us. It's not just us. It's not just Crave. There's many other companies. I know of a company that doesn't even sell cookies that's getting sued or getting lost, threatened. Yeah. And I'm just like, what the freak? So I'm talking with the owner of Crave, talking to the owner of another cookie company out of the state that's gotten letters and demand letters from Crumble. And we all put it together. Like if we would have gotten sued a year ago, just 12 months ago, we would have been out of business.
Right.
Not because we were wrong 12 months ago.
But because you didn't have enough revenue to survive.
$100,000 laying around.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong in a lawsuit. It matters, do you have enough money to defend yourself?
Right. Strategically, if they wanted to wipe out their competition.
Right. I mean, you have to pay for
a good move.
And then you have to pay for computer forensic people. And then you're paying your attorney fees. And it's like, it racks up really quick. So if you can't afford an expert to testify the differences between like why a square box, nobody's confusing a square box with a square box, which is completely different colors, different logos, and you can't trade. If you can't afford that, then what do? You're going to defend yourself against $1 billion company? No, you're out of business and it's not worth the fight.
Right.
So that's what I think they're doing. They're throwing, mud at the wall, see what sticks, see who can put on business. Well, we're the first ones that are being, annoying. We're the little ant on their leg and they're brushing everybody else off and we like latch on, we're biting them back. We're like, no, screw you guys. This is anti-competitive. This is anti-American. Like, not only do we want you to stop suing us, you need to stop suing everybody. And the laws should be changed that you can't just make any claims you want in a lawsuit. And then people read it. They're like, oh, well, that's in the court documents. That's not court documents. That's a lawsuit. I could say anything I want in the court document, or,
Well, it makes me so curious to go talk to like somebody at Crumble and be like, can you please clear up for me your side of this? Because as soon as I heard this, I told my buddy, I was like, can you imagine if Domino's suddenly decided to like sue every other pizza company because they're like, you're using a pizza box just like ours, dude.
Yeah, and your
pepperoni pizza looks just like ours. It's the same amount of pepperonis.
Yep.
Like, I'd love to talk to them. Honestly,
we do sausage, you do sausage. No go. We're suing you. It's like, okay. Oh, and then the whimsical, like playful branding. They're suing us for having a whimsical design.
They better talk to Disney too. Like, my goodness.
It's just funny because they copied their entire model off of Chip. I mean, they're on the record saying, yeah, somebody pointed out there's Chip in Provo and told us to bring it to Logan, and we did. Like, they're on the record saying that, and then they're suing us for what they did. I'm like, come on, guys. You need to get better counsel.
Dude, guys, I love how Bennett has this positive attitude. I love that he's actually rolling with the punches. His companies have seen a lot of revenue come from this. A lot of people have wanted to open up places. They're doing better. They're getting more attention, and he's just rolling with it. So anyway, Bennett, this is such a cool thing. And we don't have tons of time to talk, but Anyway, I want to get back to a little bit. Thanks for entertaining my tangent.
Yeah.
I want to know a couple things before I let you go. Number one, I think, is there anybody that kind of was a big support to you, or where did you lean, when you had hard times in business, or when you had questions, or you didn't know where things were going to go? Like, where do you end up leaning for counsel and whatnot?
Well, now it's much different than it was before because I have an advisory board. So I took a
Right.
startup course out of Lehigh. Anyways, and John Richards was the one who was giving that course.
Nice.
He took a company public, $30 billion at its peak, invested in several other companies that have been hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. It's like, this guy knows this stuff. And he taught the entrepreneurship program at BYU, and they were, number 5, top 5, sorry, in the nation out of all the colleges. So it's like, we got him. We got another guy on advisory board, Steve Hart, owns the largest property management franchise in the nation. Another guy that owns the largest franchise podcast, franchisor mastermind group, franchisee mastermind group. His name is Eric Van Horn. So I'm going to experts. I'm surrounding myself to people that have much more experience than me. I've been in food for a year and a half now, right? And full-time, 14 months. So I'm not the guy. Like this morning, sitting down with a banker, hey, we need money for this. We need money for that. We need money for that. Here's the team. I don't explain anything about myself or anything about my partner because we don't matter. We're the dummies. But it's like, hey, look at our CEO. She has 39 years in food and franchising and has grown her brand to 700 locations. Look at our advisory board. Look at our production guy. So it's really just surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Totally. I love this, guys. Guys, it's about getting resourceful. You can make anything happen. Don't come up with the excuses. Find the answer. Let me ask you really quick. A question I love to ask people is, I feel like everybody's always learning some sort of lesson in their life right now. And I feel like you've got a lot going on. Is there any really big lesson that you feel like you are learning in your own personal life right now?
One we've touched on of just like, you can choose how you face that problem. And there's techniques that you can learn on, okay, what is the worst case scenario? Okay, how do I feel about that? Let's focus in on that. But just a general lesson that I feel like has driven my success is work to learn, not to earn.
Nice.
Like, don't focus on the money, focus on the knowledge, because you go out and you knock 200 doors and you make $0. That's devastating. Like, oh my gosh, that guy told me F you, he doesn't even know me, but man, what a good experience I had because now I'm a better salesman, right? The same thing happened, but how am I looking at it? One, I'm saying what I learned, and the other one was, if I focus on what I earned, then I'm devastated. If I focused on what I learned, like, oh, now I know how to overcome that objection, right? Totally. I'm going to bring that up before they do. So always focusing on how, what your failures are teaching you is the big thing.
Right. I love that. I love that. Guys, listen to that again. Go rewind it. Listen to that one more time. It's about who you're becoming, not, what you're earning. It's all about that growth. Well, and Bennett, let me ask you my last question, because this one's big. I want to know, if everybody in the world was going to hear this podcast and you could really deliver a message that everyone was going to hear, what would your message to the world be?
Yeah. Find your mission statement. That's what you have to have. You have to have your mission statement. And I'll go really briefly, but like, how did I find my mission statement and then what my core values were? I read a book that taught me how to do that. I posted on Facebook, hey, how did you guys do it? Then I did those activities. I asked, 10 family members, what are my core values? What do you see in us? And then I asked friends, what are my core values? Then I made a spreadsheet and then I ranked them all. And then at the, like, one of them was hardworking, but I'm like, I don't actually like, hardworking is cool. Sure. I did the obituary activity. How do you want people to remember you when you're dead? What do you want them to say about you? I don't care if somebody says I'm hardworking. I could be hardworking and not help anybody in my life, right?
Right.
That's like, so I took that one out of there, even though that was what other people see me as. Like, I don't want to be known for that. Anyways, so I did that, and man, it just gave me a compass. And the other activity is really just the why. Why do you want that? Well, for money. Why do you want the money? Because I could buy XYZ. Why do you want that? Oh, because whatever it is, you'll get down, and it won't have to do with what you thought it had to do. Right.
Totally.
And I think it's going to come down to what mine came down to. You want to be happy and you want to feel like you're making a difference. So you want to publicly say it, or do you want to, bottle it up? And I don't know, but figure out why you're here on this life. And then everything else should fall in line with that.
I think that's so good. Guys, this has been just the coolest interview. We're going to have links below where you can go find Bennett. Bennett Maxwell is just the coolest guy. I mean, if you can find him, connect with him, we're going to have all of his links below. We're going to have spaces where you can go and talk to him or his people, whatever you need to do to connect with him. I've got one final question that I asked him before, if it was cool if I asked. I want to know, Bennett, what's your favorite cookie?
It's the toaster tart cookie.
Guys,
that's my favorite one.
And what makes it your favorite?
So all of our cookies are machine made, meaning rather than doing them by hand, you do them by machine, so that the accuracy and the amount of filling that goes inside of it, it's more similar to a donut at that. Like it's a stuffed cookie, not a cookie with a little bit of filling. So I think the flavor from the raspberry, you actually get a full ounce of filling, where if you do it by hand, you're getting maybe 0.2 ounces, a fifth of that. So, and then the sugar cookie, I mean, our chef was just really good when he developed it.
Love it. So good. Guys, this has been an awesome interview. We're probably going to get Bennett back for an update. It's coming up later. Bennett, dude, thank you so much for your time. And hopefully we have you back.
What the hell is this? It's a bogus lawsuit. It has a picture of their cookie with sprinkles next to our cookie with sprinkles. You guys posted some smart ass comment like, "Grandma, watch out, hide your sprinkles or you're next."
Yeah, nice.
Fulfillment typically comes from contributing to something greater than yourself. Despite life's dirtiness speaks to life doesn't need to be perfect. Do not wait for life to be perfect to allow yourself to experience joy and fulfillment. Focus on yourself first and then help as many people as possible. I allow myself to make as many mistakes as I want. I just can only make them one time. My whole life changed though when I had to focus on what is my mission statement. Right. What are my core values? What do I want to be known for when I'm dead? Right. And then it's like, boom, clarity.